What's up, everybody? It's your favorite MTB reporter here, FC from E-MTB Review, and it's 2026. It's time to deliver you guys a little bit of news about how our beloved bike industry is doing, especially the e-bike segment. And we'll get to a lot of companies, a lot of categories. I speak from the heart, so please, if you agree, disagree, chime in on the comments. Let's talk it over. All right. So the first piece of news is a big one. Canyon Bicycles from Germany is laying off 320 people. 320 people. And I thought at first, I go, man, that's probably all their company. But it turns out they have a lot of employees. They have 1,600 employees before this layoff. So they're a little bit heavy for a bicycle company. You know, I know Specialized and Santa Cruz are nowhere near that. So Canyon having a hard time. Their e-bike strategy, no good. Their e-bike quality, no good. Their batteries are cracking and they recalled everything and they had no solution. Made a lot of really bad karma over last year, and I don't think it's done yet. So they don't have any new e-bikes. Anyway, so also they had Shimano, which is kind of a dying breed. So 320 employees are getting laid off, mostly in Europe. In the USA, they already had a layoff in April. I don't know how many are left in the USA, in San Diego. So tough times for Canyon, for sure. They're a heavily capitalized company. They had a market cap of 800 million. And then LeBron James, who was an investor, he was reported the company was worth 500 million. So it's just declining. So it's time to shore up. They're opening an e-bike center in near their headquarters and really trying to reinvest in this segment. I know they're doing well in road because they have Mathieu van der Poel, one of the greatest cyclists today. But the mountain bike strategy is definitely hurting. All right. Next, number 2 piece of news is Radpower Bikes. They're back in the news. So in November, the CPSC told them you need to recall your batteries because they catch on fire. We had 35 incidents of it catching fire, and they said, no, we're not going to do it because we're going to go bankrupt if we do. So strange, because people are at risk. People are in danger. In December, they declared bankruptcy. 60 people left in that company from Seattle, and they said, no, we're not going to make it. So it is time to declare bankruptcy. And then today, just a couple days ago, their company store in Huntington Beach caught fire. Battery fire, I'm sure. Nobody really knows the details. It doesn't look bad based on the videos and photos that I saw. But man, the army of firefighters were out there trying to see what's going on. So really, really bad timing, bad news. But it tells you the danger of Radpower e-bikes and their defective batteries, on why they should recall them or do something, because they are a danger just sitting there and charging. And they are one of the biggest in the USA. Thousands of bikes were sold, Radpower. All right. Number 3 piece of news is I'm just going to go through the big boys. We're going to give you some hard news about Trek, Specialized, Santa Cruz, and Giant. Okay? So this is just talking to industry. There's no press releases on this. Trek apparently has been laying off people constantly. Their goal was 10% of a staff reduction, and I think by law, if you have a big layoff, you have to declare. You have to open up the kimono and tell everyone exactly how many people you're laying off, etc., etc. So what companies are doing is they're just having constant layoffs. 10 people, 20 people at a time. And it seems to be Trek is undergoing that. We were seeing some notes in Glassdoor. People are losing their jobs. Also, very common theme that's happening to me and my friends is you're issuing emails to your contacts. Merry Christmas. How you doing? What's going on this year? And you get an email bounce back. This company no longer works here. So that's happening a lot in the bike industry. People are just losing their jobs quietly, and their email is now dead. All right, Giant Bicycles. They have that that blockade from they're not allowed to ship from their Taiwan factory to the USA, which is a big deal because they're based in Taiwan. And the who is this? The consumer border protection said, no, you're using slave labor according to this paper by this Dutch guy, and you're blocked. So that happened last year in September, and today there has been no resolution. So they're still not allowed to ship from Taiwan. Luckily, they have another couple factories, and they had a meeting. They had a meeting with the government about December, but nothing has happened yet. Okay, so, and then another piece of news about Giant is they're moving their headquarters from Newbury Park, California to Boulder, Colorado. They expect to be introducing 125 new jobs in Boulder, Colorado, but we don't know how many were in Newbury Park. I'm sure it's more than that because not everyone is moving. If you offered me a job somewhere in the middle of the country, Boulder's pretty nice, expensive though, I'm not moving. You know, it's maybe, but given 100, not the 100 are moving, maybe 50, maybe 75. So it's a nature beast. It's kind of a unplanned layoff, but they factor that in. So that's definitely happening to Giant. But man, why are they moving? Well, you know, they've been Socal forever, and now they're going to go to Boulder, Colorado. You know, not an inexpensive place. So we don't know. All right, Specialized. They, just a little bit of news here. They are, like mentioned before, they are shutting down their office in Grass Valley, California, and beautiful area, and it's affordable. And I don't know, I guess about 25 people are affected. They are the mountain bike development team. They can test and develop suspension and frames there in a very good testing environment, but they are shutting that down, and they're saying, hey, if you want your job, it's here in Morgan Hill. So tough one. And I think it's going to be a natural attrition there because not everyone can move back. Santa Cruz, I don't know a lot, but what I know is they're owned by Pawn Holdings, and Pawn Holdings has got to be experiencing a lot of pain. Pawn Holdings is heavily into autos. You know, Volkswagen, Porsche, they have big ownership in those companies, but billions and billions of dollars tied up in automotive. And what I'm hearing in the automotive space is it's nothing but bad news, especially for European companies, for German companies. You know, because European economy is tough, and these guys are part of the old guard. They're tied to combustion engines, and combustion engines, there's just not a lot of growth. They're like analog bikes. So a lot of these companies, Volkswagen, are experiencing pain transitioning to electric, and then you know, they're having a hard time with growth. But anytime they falter, Porsche and Volkswagen, they rely on a ton of suppliers. You know, hundreds of companies. You know, making motors, windshields, what have you, and all those suffer. So Europe's having a hard time. I heard Porsche had a huge team, a big team working on Porsche bikes, e-bikes, and that's canceled. All right. So Santa Cruz, hopefully they're doing okay. They have good e-bikes now, but it's not easy when the parent company is can't be as healthy financially. All right. So 2 more subjects that I am going to cover. One is the economy and politics. You know, part of it's hard. I don't like talking about politics. You know, I avoid it. It's like I believe these days the world is such a mess, especially this country, the U.S. of A., that you just got to have a good filter of what news, what noise to filter out. Otherwise, your life will be ruined. You'll be miserable. Filter to the bike rides, not to the cluster bombs that you hear on the news every day. But anyway, how it's affecting the news is 3 ways. One is the tariffs. The tariffs are really, really bad because they just keep coming. They're being used as a tool. They're being weaponized, and it's really harming the bike industry. There's no question about it. You know, my friends in the components said they're paying up to 30% tariffs, and they charge the the end consumer 10%, upcharge them, but they have to eat a lot of this. And a lot of companies, they say, are doing this. They don't want to kill their demand by raising their prices too much. So they float the money, but they can only do so much. Cash flow is becoming a serious issue in the bike industry. Where you try to stay the course. It's going to come to a head. It is coming to a head now in January, February, March, where you see what's going on, especially after Sea Otter. It's going to be a last gasp for a few companies. They're running out of money. The bike shops, the brands, the distributors, the small distributors. So it's going to come to a head. The tariffs are so unpredictable that it's hard to forecast, hard to get a loan, hard to manage your cash flow. But cash is king. If you have cash, you can survive, you can weather the storm. But not too many people, have the deep pockets. All right. So the other thing is the politics, the political and military firestorm. If there's wars going on and a war could break out tomorrow, you just don't feel good about spending money. What you do is you go from a want purchase to a need purchase. I want the carbon DJI bike, but I need eggs and water. So I'm hearing a lot of that. So aside from all the problems, the consumer is not in a very happy, confident state. Restaurants are saying, the regulars, instead of them showing up once a week, they're showing up once a month. And you don't need to look further than yourself. I know you guys are kind of hunkering down too, Unless you're just swimming in money, you're just like a little more judicious about the bike purchase. I hear from bike shops, what's selling is drivetrain. E-bikes are eating up the drivetrains, and people don't want to buy new bikes or e-bikes, so they just fix their drivetrain. Brake pads, those are doing well. So that's what's going on. Uncertainty, unpredictability is harming our daily lives. So it's definitely affecting the bike economy. All right, and the one I'll close with is that high-end mountain bike, analog, human-powered bikes are dead or dying. Boom. In 2026. So I asked about a few bike industry folks, hey, how's forecasting? How's the year look? And they said, man, thank God for e-bikes. The analog business is dead or dying. Dead, not necessarily, but there's no growth. The growth is dead. There's no growth. But they're scaring me. They're like, oh man, it's like nothing. The orders are nothing. Like 20%, 80% is going to the e-bikes. So it's really happening faster than we anticipated. And we're talking $5,000 to $10,000, $5,000 to $15,000 analog mountain bikes. That's really hurting, especially big travel mountain bikes where so much growth. All mountain bikes, enduro bikes, those are hurting. Very hard to sell, and I experienced that myself. Tried to sell an all mountain bike that was 170 travel, $8,000. Sold it at $2,200. Saying I'm not alone. So let me know your experience with these things. If you're a buyer, good time to buy. Now, on the other hand, I sold a cross-country bike, a Blur, for $5,500, and I was able to sell it for $5,000. Cross-country is alive. So I think that's going to be one healthy or growth area of analog mountain bikes is just cross-country. Cross-country, is not served very well by the e-bike. If you want to achieve and you want to race and all that jazz, XC bikes are still good. And that's what I do. That's what a lot of my friends do. We have an XC bike and we have a couple e-bikes because it's hard to punish yourself on an e-bike. That's better done with a cross-country bike, Anyway, that's my spiel for today. I don't even know what day it is. I just got back from vacation. But let me know. Please relate some news to me. I'm gonna be fishing for scoop, for trends and whatnot in our beloved bike industry. But choppy waters, that's for dang sure. But we only stabilize it by having a good filter. Go towards I'm going to Santa Cruz tomorrow and riding Friday, Saturday, Sunday And that's how I stay sane and stoked in this life. All right, I hope you do too. Thanks a ton.